For the past 45 years, whether it be from the novel, film, or multiple remakes, Carrie has stayed in our collective consciousness and still retains the ability to shock any generation of readers. Perhaps the most incredible thing about Carrie is the career it created for its author, and perhaps the most frightening thing about Carrie is that it wouldn't exist had it not been for 3 pages found in a trash can in 1973.
We do it now. I'm going to do it. Okay, here we go.
Let us resolve to move forward from the beginnings we have made. Let us continue to bring down the walls of hostility which have divided the world for too long.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Carrie, you faithless swine.
Come on, please. The Lord be with you.
2 guys in that row dropped their pants and fired a rocket. Which 2 guys?
1973 was just like every other year, a mixed bag with as many high points as there were low. Offensive action in North Vietnam was suspended, the world mourned the death of Pablo Picasso, and the investigation into the infamous Watergate scandal begins. The Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade.
In effect, the court makes abortion subject only to the decision of the pregnant woman's doctor.
The World Trade Center opens officially after 8 years of construction, and in eastern Maine, a 25-year-old high school English teacher begins writing what will become his first published novel, Carrie. Living in a double-wide trailer with his wife Tabitha, Stephen King was a struggling writer, the several novels he had written being turned down by different publishers. Where King did find a platform, however, was in writing short stories for men's magazines, such as Cavalier, giving countless men the excuse to buy these magazines for the articles. Although he didn't have much of a reputation, he was no stranger to criticism. One such piece of criticism came from a reader who called King out for not writing about women, suggesting that he couldn't do it and that he was afraid of women. It was from this review that Carrie was born. Intending for it to be another short story for Cavalier, King began putting down the famous opening scene of the novel. However, he ran into 2 problems. It was going to be much longer than the word limit for men's magazines, and he had a difficult time relating to the characters. So, after 3 pages, he threw the story of Carrie White in the trash. Thankfully though, the story of Stephen King doesn't end here as well.
I threw it away and my wife fished it out and said, "This is sort of amusing, you ought to go on with this," and so I did.
Tabitha King, an author herself, prodded her husband to finish the novel, offering help and insight into the characters King had trouble relating to. There's no doubt that without Tabitha King, the world of horror would have lost an icon. It's fitting, then, that the book is dedicated to her, reading, "This is for Tabby, who got me into it, and then bailed me out of it." Carrie was published by Doubleday, who paid King a $2,500 advance on April 5th, 1974. The first run was limited to 30,000 hardback copies, but, to King's disappointment, only 13,000 were initially sold. Once again, Stephen King's career could have come to a painfully quick end, had not a miracle happened. A month after Carrie's publishing, New American Library purchased the paperback rights for $400,000, surely a number that neither King nor Doubleday would have ever dreamed of. After the paperback copies were released, Carrie sold over 1 million copies in its first year. And with the release of Brian De Palma's film adaptation, released in 1976, the fate of Carrie was finally decided. It would be a classic. 3 more films were based on the novel, and in 1988 the book was adapted once more, this time in the form of a Broadway musical. The success of Carrie would change Stephen King's life forever, and with the publication of Salem's Lot in 1975, King was on his way to becoming the undisputed master of horror.